inviting me to today's press conference. So I am the event race director for two different 5Ks for the American Heart Association. One is Lawyers Have Heart 5K, which takes place in downtown Boston, and it's geared towards the legal field. So that's coming up June 30th. And then the second event that I direct is the Heart Challenge, which will take place in October 2015, which is what I'm here to talk to you about. So first I'll go over a little bit of background about myself. As Danny mentioned, I was a student here at Johnson & Wales. I graduated in 2013 with a degree in sports entertainment and event management. The 4 years that I was here was pretty involved on campus. My freshman year, I was on the women's basketball team and had a very successful season that year. I was also an orientation leader that summer going into my sophomore year. I volunteered with Professor Drohan for all 4 years that I was here, kind of doing whatever it is she asked of me because Professor Drohan is awesome. So I ended up volunteering at most 5Ks, which took place about every other weekend. I grew up in athletics, loving basketball was my main sport. I played a little bit of soccer and did a little bit of track field events as well. So I had no interest in 5Ks, but again, Professor Drohan was good at encouraging us to volunteer and kind of get out and meet as many people as we could. So she took me under her wing, and I was, like I said, heavily involved in 5K volunteering. The last couple of years of college were definitely a little bit tough. I no longer could play on the basketball team due to a brain injury from multiple concussions. So that happened about a week before tryouts my sophomore year, and then we'll get into a little bit later, but I also ended up losing my dad to heart disease in 2011 at the beginning of my junior year. So that all kind of plays a role into why I'm here today. So a little bit about the Heart Challenge. This year will be the second annual Heart Challenge. Last year was our pilot year with this event. It's an adventurous 5K trail run with 10 to 12 obstacle courses. It's definitely meant to test your agility, your strength, your balance, and kind of your willpower. We wanted to target a field that wanted to be active and wanted to have fun while doing so, but we didn't want to only have like a Tough Mudder type situation with getting electrocuted and running up mountains and mud being thrown all over you. So we wanted to target really a family-based event, but still something that is supportive of heart health and physical activity. So that's kind of a rundown of the Heart Challenge. It takes place at Prowse Farm, which is an awesome area. It's really pretty to get to run through the woods, which I think you saw in the video. And that's where they set up the 10 to 12 obstacle courses. So yeah, our goal this year for our Heart Challenge is $100,000, which hopefully we're going to beat this year. It is the same goal from last year, but we'll kind of get into sponsorship later on in the game. So that's really a rundown of what the Heart Challenge is. Like I said, this is only our second year, so this is a great time for me to kind of come in as the director, put some new spice into the event, and kind of take it wherever we see it going, since it's only the second year.
Thank you, Allison. We will now turn this over to the question and answer portion of the press conference. We ask for those with questions to please stand up, we'll bring the mic to you, and then sit down for the response. And we'll start with question number 1.
What motivated you to become interested and involved in the American Heart Association?
So definitely a combination of things, all things that I'm very passionate about. As I mentioned, when I was in college, my dad passed away from heart disease. So starting at a very young age, when he was first diagnosed when I was 8, I knew what heart disease was. I was very much so a daddy's girl and wanted to kind of do whatever I could to make him more comfortable and to let him know if things weren't weird and that I was there as a daughter to support him. So I ended up doing jump rope for heart, which I'm not sure if any of you remember from like elementary school days, but my 4th grade year was the year I found out. And 5th and 6th grade, I was like the top fundraiser in my elementary school for jump rope for heart, and I joined our school jump roping team just so I could get really good at jump roping so I could make sure I was the top fundraiser, knowing that it's something that directly affects my dad. But I'm also very passionate about sports. Like I said, I grew up playing basketball. That was kind of my entire childhood. I came here and played and unfortunately couldn't finish out my career here, but athletics is definitely something that I enjoy being a part of. And then of course event planning, which is why I chose Johnson & Wales. It's something that I've always wanted to do but never thought was a career field until I came to Johnson & Wales and realized that there are so many others who like this kind of stuff too, and I'm not the only weird one in my senior class that wants to like plan events. So definitely a combination of things led me to the American Heart Association, and so that's what I'm doing here today.
Question 2.
Can you explain what the Kendall Cure is?
Sure. So Kendall's Cure is an event that I put together my junior year of college here. In September of 2011, my father passed away, so it was really tough for me to kind of get back in the swing of things. My mom pretty much had to like pry me out of my house in Vermont to get me to go back to college and not to quit. So when I came back, I was in, I believe, a sociology class, and my professor put out a very simple homework assignment where we had to do something and get at least 10 of our peers involved. So being the event planner that I am naturally, I went above and beyond and planned this like entire Kendall's Cure event and had about 60 students show up. I had the event right here. It's called Kendall's Cure. Had a couple professors bring their classes, and I had an American Heart Association representative come, talk about heart disease, talk about how it affects us. I told my story about my father and I, and my whole kind of life journey with dealing with a sick father, and then of course the passing of my father. And then through that, I had a lot of positive feedback, so I decided to go ahead and design and sell t-shirts, which I have up here. I can show you guys. And I ended up selling about 300 t-shirts, all for Wear Red Day, which is an American Heart Association event as well, which takes place in February every year to raise awareness of heart disease. So I think I sold about 160 t-shirts just on campus, which was awesome because we were all broke college students, so spending $15 on a shirt was something that was kind of a lot to ask of my peers, but a lot of them came through, and it was really nice to see all the different red shirts for Kendall's Cure across the campus. Through networking with Professor Drohan and volunteering for her, I met the director of the Providence 5Ks, and he ended up also donating $1,000 to Kendall's Cure. So I ended up raising almost $3,000 just from a short few months of doing Kendall's Cure. So it kind of is at a standstill now, but I have people all the time asking for more t-shirts and if they can still donate in my father's name. So it still lives on, which is really
Question 3.
What is the main purpose of the Heart Challenge?
So the main purpose of the Heart Challenge is really to lead with mission. The American Heart Association is trying to cut back 20% of cardiovascular deaths by 2020 while improving heart disease by 20%. So the American Heart Association wanted to kind of have athletic events be more known across the nation. So this is just kind of our first step to really getting an athletic department on the maps from a national standpoint. But physical inactivity is one of the leading causes of heart disease. So we really wanted something that tested your agility and your strength and kind of your athleticism, and while doing something fun.
Question 4.
What is significant about the process of choosing sponsors?
So sponsorship plays a huge role in our event. Really, the main focus is that we are communicating with people or with companies and sponsors whose vision and mission align with ours. So those companies who promote heart health or promote healthy living or promote physical activity. So we try and not just choose random companies that have a lot of money. We really want to make sure that they are passionate about our event, they want to be involved in our event, and therefore our missions both align.
Question 5.
What's the significance behind Hanover Insurance's sponsorship of the medication area?
So Hanover Insurance is an insurance company that's in Worcester, Massachusetts. They were a small sponsor last year at the first Heart Challenge event, and they had a great time. Their captain, Joe, led the team. They all loved it. I think they had the largest team there of about 75 people, which is awesome for a first-year event. And then unfortunately, just a few months ago, I think 4 months ago, maybe 3 months ago now, Joe passed away of a sudden heart attack, which kind of caught everybody off guard. So a team at Hanover Insurance, including one of his very best friends, decided that they wanted to somehow do more this year than just be involved with the team. So they sponsored at a high enough level where they received their own tent and their own little area at the event for their team to kind of gather and to have their family gather, and it's just kind of one of those visibility things that companies like as well. But this year we're kind of merging our tribute tent and their tent together so that it's really focused on the memory of Joe as a father, as an employee, as a friend, as a coworker. So that's something that wasn't there last year, and now this year we'll make the tribute section that much more relatable and that much more personal, and it's really why we're there, to pay tribute to people who we've lost from heart disease.
Question 6.
What's the fundraising goal for this event and how has it changed from last year?
Sure. So the fundraising goal is $100,000. It is the same goal that we set for our pilot event last year. Last year we had about $30,000 in sponsorship. This year we have planned to try and double that, so at least $60,000 of the $100,000 are all sponsorship, and then the rest is participant and team driven. So we're really hoping to kind of blow that $100,000 goal out of the water. Last year we came up just shy of $100,000. So we think with participants hopefully tripling and teams getting larger and then also having more sponsorship, that we will be able to beat the $100,000 goal this year.
Question 7.
What role do volunteers play at this event, and how many volunteers did you get last year, and how many do you hope for this year?
So volunteers are huge in any event, and it really helps run the event. The American Heart Association likes to focus on volunteers and having them really kind of take over the event as the event gets closer and closer. So volunteers mean everything. If we didn't have volunteers, it would be very, very tough to run an event because there's only 2 or 3 of us, plus my coworkers as a staff, so there's maybe 20 of us, and we can't do everything. So volunteers are a huge part, and like I said, without them, we wouldn't be able to run the event. Last year we had about 50 volunteers sign up, and about 30 of them showed up, which is usually what happens in a volunteer case. This year we're hoping, with a goal of tripling our participation, that will triple in volunteers as well. So we're hoping to have around 100 or more volunteers at this year's event.
Question 8.
What other events does the American Heart Association plan, and how does the office and staff support each other?
Yeah, so there's tons of events all over the nation. In my office in Waltham, Massachusetts, we have the Go Red for Women campaign. We have the Heart Ball, which is more of like a black tie auction event. We have the Heart Walk, which obviously is a national platform for the American Heart Association. And then we have Lawyers Have Heart, which is my other event, and Heart Challenge. So we have quite a few. I'm probably missing a couple as well. And the way that our staff all gets involved is we're really one large team of about 15 or 17 women who all are event coordinators, directors, and senior directors of these different events, and everybody in the office is made to volunteer at each event. So about a week before somebody else's event, they hold a training, they give us all our own jobs, and then that's what we're responsible for the night. So along with volunteers outside of the American Heart Association, all employees are made to also volunteer at each other's events, which is really fun because I wear sneakers and running shorts to my event, and an event I did last week for a coworker was the Heart Ball, and I got to wear a nice fancy dress and his black tie attire, so it was just a lot of fun to be able to kind of see the different roles that directors play event planning.
Question 9.
How can students become involved with this event and others through the American Heart Association?
The biggest way is definitely to volunteer. Like I said before, if I hadn't volunteered for Kathy in the 5Ks for 4 years in Providence, I never would have gotten this position, which I know for a fact because I've talked to the hiring manager about that. So I would definitely say volunteer. Like I said, 5Ks were not something I was interested in. It was just something fun to do and kind of like involved athletics as well, so that was kind of a plus. But definitely volunteer at anything you can get your hands on, whether it's something you want to do after graduation or not. It's all worth the experience, and you never know who you're going to meet. So I never knew that I would meet this race director who would end up following up with me every year, donating $1,000 to my little fundraiser event. So you never know who you're going to meet, and that can easily lead to a job or an opportunity after
Question 10.
Hi, what is the call to action campaign?
So the call to action campaign is something new this year that the American Heart Association on a national level put together. It's pretty much at point of sale in a retailer, a cashier will ask the customer if they'd like to donate to the American Heart Association to help with the 2020 impact goal, which is what I mentioned before in 2020, to have 20% less deaths from cardiovascular disease while improving heart disease by 20%. So it's something new that we're trying to do this year, new campaign. Pilot year is always tough, especially on a national level. It usually isn't the office's first priority because we all have our own events, but my supervisor and I have been communicating with City Sports in Boston at the headquarters, and we are hoping by Friday we will actually have them confirmed as the first call to action retailer, and if that is the case, then my supervisor and I will be the first team in the entire nation to lock down our first retailer. So that's really exciting, and hopefully if we can get this grow this year, then every year will become something larger.
Question 11.
Hi, Allison. There's currently only 2 athletic departments within the American Heart Association in the U.S. Do you have intentions of expanding the athletic department and becoming a greater part of the organization?
I would love for the athletic department to improve and to get larger. So right now, for Lawyers Have Heart, there are only 2 races in the United States, one in Boston, which I direct, and then one in DC, which is going on its 25th annual race this year. And it's at a much larger scale. They raise about $800,000. Where we're at $335. So the way it works for national platform events in the American Heart Association is if you can raise over $1 million, you become a national event. So in order for the athletic department and the Lawyers Have Heart 5K to become a national event, we each need to get to that 1 million mark. Which seems tough, but I think within the next 5 or 10 years, the Lawyers Have Heart 5K at least can be a new platform, and then hopefully there will be athletic events such as Lawyers Have Heart all over the nation.
Question 12.
What are some of your goals for the near future with this event and at the American Heart Association?
Mine personally? Well, I would love for the Heart Challenge and the Lawyers Have Heart 5K together to reach $1 million. Right now, I feel like some people would probably laugh in our faces for saying that, but I believe in the athletic events, and I really think that it can get there. It really just takes somebody that's really passionate about the events to really strive forward. So I would love for those 2 events to become $1 million event, and then eventually have those be national platforms and have these athletic events all over the nation. Which I think is why I got hired, because I probably sound crazy when I say that, but that's what employers are looking for. They're just looking for someone who's hungry and who doesn't put a cap on themselves. So I feel like I can do anything if I really put my heart into it. So I really hope to get these 2 events together to $1 million within the next 3 to 5 years.
Question 13.
What has been the most rewarding moment as the event director of the American Heart Association?
Well, let's see. I don't really know if there's one exact moment. This June will be my very first event as the event director, so I've been working up to it, and I know it's coming. So probably when I'm standing at the finish line, that will be the moment where I'm like, wow, like I can't believe I did this, or I'm doing this. But as of now, I honestly wake up every morning really excited to go to work. And when I was in your position, I didn't think that that was real. I thought that people just like told you that to make you feel better about what the rest of your life is going to be. But I wake up feeling like my father's with me every day and that he's really proud of what I'm doing, and I'm really excited about what I'm doing. So right now, I'm still kind of pinching myself that that's what I wake up to every morning, just excited and hungry to go to work and to do more. So that's really exciting and a really new feeling. So that would probably be the best moment so far.
Question 14.
What's the biggest lesson you learned while at JWU and or throughout your career so far?
I had a really tough couple of years at Johnson & Wales, so I would say that the best thing that I've learned through my experience is that there's no limit, that you can truly do whatever you want to do no matter what tries to get in your way. I mean, I came here my freshman year and I was a basketball star. I was starting as a freshman. I was the high scorer. Everybody on campus knew who I was, and it was a very fun experience. And then sophomore year hit, I got the brain injury. I could no longer play basketball anymore, so that was kind of ripped away from me. I kind of had to relearn who I was as a person, as kind of silly as that sounds. And then my junior year, first thing off the bat, my dad passed away, and then I was kind of forced to go back. And that was a struggle for me all the way up until graduation. So I would say if I was told while in college that I would be here today having my dream job with the American Heart Association, I would probably laugh in your face and not believe you. So really that's just taught me that there is no limit and you really can do whatever you want to do.
Question 15.
Looking back, what do you wish you would have known 5 years ago when you were starting at JWU?
Any plan that you had for yourself coming into JWU is absolutely no. Nothing ever ends up how you expect it. There are definitely some fairy tale stories where you come in with a goal, a dream job, you graduate and you get it and everything runs smoothly. But most likely, you are not the same person you were when you walked in freshman year. You probably don't have the same career goals or even probably the same goals in life. So just knowing that whatever I thought I was going to do wasn't what was going to happen and that I was going to need to roll with the punches would have been awesome to know. But again, if you just take advantage of the opportunities in front of you, that's the joy of things. You don't know where it's going to lead you. You just need to kind of roll with the punches and go with it. And just know that in the end you have a goal, and to reach that goal.
Question 16.
I know you said that Professor Droman really helped you, but did you have any other mentors at JWU?
I definitely had some mentors. Kathy Drohan was definitely my main supporter. Freshman year, she would email me and come to all my basketball games and tell me, good job if you won, or you'll get them next time if I lost. When I got the concussion, she really stepped up academically, as did many professors, including Professor Leary. They all kind of came together, a few of them, and really helped me get through that time when academics were really tough for me with the brain injury. And then they continued to support me throughout the death of my father. There were days when I literally could not get myself out of bed because I was just so down on myself and I didn't have any motivation. So to have professors who really cared about me, or would say it's okay, like do what you need to do at home, make sure you get this assignment to me by today, or whatever it was, whether it was letting me cry to them because I was so stressed out in their office. I can count a couple. I know I did it at Professor Leary's office once or twice. Professor Polano was awesome. He was always like there to support me and just give me encouraging words. Professor Eskelson was awesome. He's from Vermont, so we really connected on that level, and he was really there to support me. But Kathy Drohan has really made a significance on my life. Like, we're so close to this day. I was texting her this morning telling her she better be here, but she couldn't be here. So she has really been an awesome supporter for my event, Kendall's Cure. She was here. She made like 3 of her classes come and then let them skip class later on. And she was just always there to support and encourage me and kind of feed into that you can do whatever you want to do. Don't let your difficulties get in your way.
Question 17.
Hi.
Hi.
What inspired you to continue school as you would do several
My dad would have killed me if I quit, honestly, and that's really what kept me going. You don't really know how strong you are until you're kind of put in that position, and I felt a huge amount of guilt knowing that if I did quit school, my dad would be really disappointed in me, and when you lose somebody, to think of them being disappointed is really tough. So that's really what kept me through, and then again, just the support from the professors. I mean, I came back and nobody knew my dad, so it was just very hard to kind of adjust, but everybody was really supportive. So just knowing that he would be very unhappy with me definitely kept me going. And also Johnson & Wales is awesome to have a degree from because so many employers know the reputation of Johnson & Wales students. So I knew that if I tried to go home and get a hospitality degree from like Johnson State College, it wouldn't have that effect on employers. When I was out in the real world, I was healthy and I was moved on from the death
Question 18.
Hello, what are some advice you could give students that are striving to be a part of the hospitality and SME industry?
Again, definitely I would just encourage you guys to volunteer. I know how tough it is to get up on a Saturday morning after a busy Friday night and to think that this is something that is useful to you to go and volunteer at a 5K or at an on-campus event or at anything going on in Providence. But it's so worth it. And you can really only lead with what you got. So for me, like, I'm really good at conversating and meeting new people. I'm genuinely interested in other people's stories and where they came from and how they got to where they're going. So for me, it's like a piece of cake to walk into a meeting with all of these lawyers from Boston that obviously I don't know and I should be intimidated by, and just to lead with my personality and lead with what I'm good at, which is getting people to talk to me. That's gotten me to where I am now. So I would definitely say volunteer as much as you can, figure out your strengths, and use that to your advantage.
So this concludes today's press conference. We would like to thank Allison for coming and speaking with us on behalf of the American Heart Association. Also, a big thank you to the press for coming and attending today. We have placed a sign-up sheet and information sheets regarding volunteer opportunities for you folks to pick up on your way out. So thank you again, and have a great day.
Also, you should definitely volunteer. It's going to be a really fun event, and it will be well worth it. So I'm working with Kathy Drohan in the fall to get you guys to volunteer. So she's going to help me set up a Johnson & Wales bus to get you guys to Canton, Massachusetts. Grab a sheet on the way out that tells you all about the different jobs you could have while volunteering. You get a